have an APS-C camera, then the biggest telephoto lens that you can get is the SONY 70 to 350mm G lens, and that gives you approximately 525mm. But what if you want more? And a good alternative for the APS-C lenses is to use the full-frame lenses, like this one. We have today the Sigma 150 to 6mm, and I'm putting it on the Sony A6000 to show you how it looks like when using a super telephoto zoom lens on an APS-C crop sensor, which ultimately gives us about 900mm reach, which is insane. Let's see how it performs. Let's talk about the build quality of this lens. Well, first of all, when you take it in your hands, you're definitely going to notice that it's a huge lens, and it weighs 2.1 kilograms, which is actually one of the lightest lenses if you compare with other full-frame alternatives like the Tamron 150 and 500. Tamron is a little bit more heavy, but at the same time it has less reach. And the Sony 200 to 600, it is heavier and also bigger. So this is actually one of the smallest and lightest lenses that you can get in this kind of reach. And if I put it in my bag, it actually fits in the bag. I don't have to take a separate bag. However, Sigma does provide you with the bag on its own when you are purchasing the lens, which is really a cool thing. When the lens is extended at 600mm and with the lens hood, it totally looks like a bazooka for sure. On top of that, I don't think you'll be using any filters because the front element is absolutely huge. It has 95mm filter thread, and actually you don't need one neither for photos nor for videos because the f-stop is 6.3 when it's zoomed all the way into 600mm. So you actually need quite a big shutter speed when it comes to taking photos. Can be compensated with the tripod and also with the optical steady stabilization, which by the way works absolutely amazing. They have two switches. One is the handheld optical steady stabilization, which basically gives more of a control of the shake, and the other one is if you have it on a tripod and you're panning, then you want a little less optical steady stabilization. Works amazing, helps a lot because most of the APS-C cameras don't have the IBIS built in, so definitely helpful. One other thing, you'll definitely not gonna be holding the lens in your hands because it's just so heavy, front heavy. And what's cool, Sigma comes with this Arco Swiss support, or you just stick it in a tripod without absolutely any problems. It also has this metallic lens hood. It comes in a protective case, as I mentioned. Definitely want to protect your lens from the flares and from the light, but also from the bumps because the front element is just so huge. Overall build quality of the lens is amazing. It has the aluminum body and it's also combined with high quality composite material. Actually, speaking of the zoom ring, it has 3 positions: the smooth one, and then you have a bit of one with a tension, and also it has the locking switch. So now that I switched it on, I'm not able to even turn the lens much. It also has other switches like autofocus, manual focus, as well as focus assist. The minimal focus distance, 0.58 meters, which is 1.9 feet. That's when it's at 150mm. But if you zoom in all the way to 600mm, that's going to be 2.8 meters or 9.19 feet. What else you have? You have a hook. You have 2 hooks to put the camera in some strap. Don't take it in the pouring rain, but it is very well weather sealed. And yeah, I think that wraps up the build quality. Build quality is amazing. I love it. So they have stepping motor and high precision magnetic sensor. So these 2 autofocus motors really help you, the lens to focus faster. So now we're going to do some tests with the autofocus both in photo mode and also in video mode.
And even though this is a very long telephoto lens, which means it is harder for lens to focus because there's just so much distance to cover, I had absolutely no issues with the autofocus in photo mode. Autofocus was fast, snappy, and very accurate even on the moving subjects. One thing you can do if you want even more precise autofocus, you can switch between different focus distance modes, 0 to 10 meters for objects nearby, or 10 to infinity for objects in far distance. In video mode, the autofocus performance was also extremely good, even on a very old basic camera like Sony A6000. It tracked the subjects really well, even if they were moving. There was no focus hunting, refocusing, or random glitches. I did many tests and all of them were flawless.
So now let's talk about the photo quality, about the drawbacks if it has any.
For zoom lens and considering the focal length, I must say it is sharper than I expected, especially because I was taking the pictures with a crop sensor camera that has only 24 megapixel sensor. The sharpness was good no matter the focal length, although I did not spend crazy amount of time to compare each millimeter, but rather see how it performs in real life. Drawbacks? Not for this lens particularly, but any extreme telephoto lens. Since the focal length is so huge, the environment plays a role too. If you take photos of subjects in a very far distance, the atmospheric haze will make your photos less clear and sharp. Another thing is that you will have to shoot with quite high ISO, and these older crop sensor cameras don't perform as good with the high ISO as compared to the newer full-frame cameras, so you will see some noise and images will be less sharp. Besides that, I like the images this lens generates. It also has an amazing bokeh even if you shoot at f6.3, and background will completely disappear if you focus on objects nearby.
Another cool thing is that you can use this lens also for videos, and you can really reach far. You're not going to capture any of the sounds in the far distance, so you want to use sound effects, and I personally recommend Epidemic Sound because they have more than 90,000 sound effects. You will find sound effect of birds singing, as well as some deer or so on. Besides that, you can also add one of their 35,000 songs.
And if you use code TOMS50, you're going to get a crazy discount on your subscription. Epidemic Sound is giving 50% off if you sign up for an annual personal plan subscription. It'll cost you just a few dollars a month, and on top of that, you can also try Epidemic Sound 30 days for free. So now is a really good time to check them out. All info in the description box below. Alright, back to the video performance. And when it comes to quality, same comments as with photos. I'm very pleased to see the results, the separation from the background, the sharpness and the contrast. I did not notice any vignetting or weird artifacts in neither photo or video mode, so it's safe to say this lens is worth its price.
Zooming out a little bit, now we're looking good. That's it for today's video, guys. Tomorrow I'll be bringing this lens out on the street to do some crazy extreme street photography, so definitely subscribe and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss out that video, because I think it's going to be really interesting. And I wish you a wonderful day. See you in the next one. Bye.